This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
Another Monday night doubleheader coming our way tonight. We got the Jets and the Dolphins, Bengals and Broncos. Not exactly the most thrilling matchups, but hey, it is a double dose of delight tonight on the gridiron. We're going to break down both those games, letting you know which bets I am eyeing at FanDuel Sportsbook and any other value I can find on the board for tonight's games. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, here to break down my thoughts on both of the Monday Night Football games. Get you set for we see into these games and favorite bets I like at FanDuel Sportsbook for tonight. We'll dive into all that here in just 1 second, but first, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread and the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. We have shows Monday through Friday for you here on the page, getting you set for both college football and for the NFL. Tomorrow, I will go game by game through all Week 5 NFL games, breaking down my reading the spread in total there and any bets I like at FanDuel Sportsbook for those. To get that show as it is posted, make sure to subscribe to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. It is a 5-star rating there, but also check us out on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Appreciate all the thumbs up there and appreciate all the subscribers who have joined us on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page as well. FanDuel is getting you ready for kickoff with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is finally here. Only question is, are you ready to play? Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's take a look now at the first game of the night, which is the Jets at the Dolphins. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Dolphins favored by a pretty heavy 2.5. That is a -120 right now. The total in this game sits at 44.5. I don't see any value in the spread. I've got the Dolphins favored by 2.7, so pretty much directly in line with the market there. I do, though, see value in the under for this game. Again, under 44.5, sitting at -112 right now. I had this total at 41.1 personally, because we talked about this before in the show, but the major driver of totals for me is offense, not defense. These two defenses have struggled so far this year, but neither offense is elite by any means. That's going to lead to my typically being lower on the total than where the market is at. It's also not the best weather in Miami for this game, currently projected at 13-mile-per-hour winds. If you were to change that to, let's say, 5-mile-per-hour winds, I'd have this total at 42.5. So a full point higher than where it's at right now for me at 41.1. So it does make a pretty big difference to have the wind in the mix. I can kind of understand it because I think that people tend to undervalue wind, but also because these two defenses are bad. So I do understand to an extent why this total is where it's at, but I think it is too high. 44 is a key number in the NFL, as is 43. We're getting wins on both of those numbers. I think points will be a pretty big struggle here. So I do want to start things off by taking the under 44.5 at -112 for the Jets and the Dolphins. With the under being the play for me, it's going to lead to difficulty in finding value in props if we're looking for optimistic props. As far as touchdown scores go, I'll give out some bets that I do like in a second, like some longer shots. We'll see if they have any life. We can talk about that first. But as far as like other things, I want to make sure I keep expectations in check because totals drive where these other markets sit, and I think the total is too high. There is, however, one optimistic prop I do like for this game, despite the fact I like the under. That's going to be on Ollie Gordon, because I just like the approach the Dolphins had last week, where they finally decided to use Gordon more in the running game, and it gave them this more physical element they haven't really had a lot in any of the recent years under Mike McDaniel. When Gordon was out there, they decided to run downhill. And it was more of a bruising kind of run, a very different style than Devon Achane. He's a very talented back, but not that kind of back. In that game, Gordon had 9 carries for 38 yards. And I think that based on what they did, they could be encouraged to do that more, but also could be encouraged to do it more because of the wind speeds we mentioned in this game. It's definitely not a guarantee they decide to ride Gordon again. And this Jets defense has, despite its flaws, been pretty good against running backs so far this year. But I think that based on what we saw last week, I would hope if I were a Dolphins fan, they would continue to ride Gordon a bit there. His rushing yardage prop is 24.5 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I do think that's a pretty good number, and I'm willing to go there personally. So we'll take Ollie Gordon over 24.5 at minus 112 as our lone optimistic prop in this game. If you're looking for some like longer shots, tight end kind of prop or touchdown props, I do think there is some value in Gordon's prop. Right now to score at FanDuel Sportsbook, he is plus 340. Let me pull up the exact number I have for him in this game in my anytime touchdown model. Stalling. I have Gordon at plus 250, or sorry, plus 310 to score, and he's at plus 340. So not like the biggest edge by any means, but considering I have value on the under and my total feeds into my anytime touchdown model market, it's surprising to see value there. So honestly, I don't hate it if you want to toss in a Gordon touchdown prop too, as a way to get additional exposure to him if they decide to go away from Devon Achane at the goal line, as Tyreek Hill has suggested they should. I don't mind that. So Gordon plus 340, pretty solid look. Don't mind that at all. And then for more of a longer shot, Tyler Johnson is 8-1. Josh Reynolds is back for this game, but I would still expect Johnson to play a pretty good number of snaps. Johnson, Reynolds, and Garrett Wilson are the 3 receivers. At least they were the 3 or 7 receiver set in week 1 for the Jets when Josh Reynolds was healthy, and Allen Lazard was inactive for that game. Not sure if he'll be inactive here, but either way, Tyler Johnson's role should be better than 8-1. So don't mind Johnson 8-1. Do like Gordon a bit at plus 340, but I think preferred prop for me will be the Gordon rushing prop over 24.5, sitting at minus 112. So again, not seeing a ton in this game, mostly relying on that under to get us home, under 44.5 at minus 112, but checking out Ollie Gordon, checking out maybe Tyler Johnson too, if you want some other exposure to this one. Let's talk now about the second game of the night. That is the Bengals at the Broncos. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Broncos favored by 7.5. It's held steady there the entire week. Total in this game is at 44.5. I've got the Broncos favored by 9.6, which means I could see value in laying the 7.5. But that's a key number. 7 is, obviously. And I don't really like, I want a bigger edge, a bigger gap between me and the market if I'm going to lay across a key number of 7. So I don't hate the idea of the Broncos minus 7.5. I think that if you had a teaser leg you wanted out there for, week 5 kind of game situation, I don't mind that either. I think they're a solid teaser leg, but for me personally, going to wind up staying away from them because again, the key number 7.5 does scare me. It's a minus 112, or the key number 7 scares me. So it's a minus 112 right now. Not enthusiastic there. And I am almost directly in line with the total too, 44.2. So no baseline bets for me between the Bengals and the Broncos. Within this game, I do see some roles that could be a bit undervalued, though. And the biggest one to me is in Troy Franklin. Franklin popped up in week number 2 and had a really nice game with some impressive usage there. And with Sean Payton, you always had to ask, okay, will this hold over into the next game? And with Franklin, it did. He played a 59% snap rate in week 1, 83% in week 2 when he dominated targets, and 79% the week after. So the role change for Franklin did hold over into that next game in week 3. So I think that what we're going to see is Courtland Sutton is number 1. Troy Franklin's probably going to be the number 2 receiver on this team. He has a 21% target market share through 3 games, again, including that game where his snap rate wasn't fully up yet. So he is currently plus 250 to score at FanDuel Sportsbook. I think that's a value. I have Franklin at plus 210 to score in this game. So if I want to buy into a touchdown prop on Monday Night Football, I think that Troy Franklin is the best way to do so, given the role change did carry over into week number 3. He played really well in week 2 to, I think, justify the expanded role. And I do think the Broncos will put up points here against this struggling Bengals defense. So to me, it checks all the key boxes. I like Troy Franklin to score plus 250 at FanDuel Sportsbook for tonight. There are some longer shot touchdown bets we can talk about later on as well, but that is one I'd be willing to consider for sure. Now, part of the Franklin role expansion has been a role reduction for Marvin Mims. That's going to be our second prop in this game. I'm going to take Marvin Mims. Oh, he got taken down. I'm guessing that means maybe we got injury news on Marvin Mims. I was looking at his receiving yardage prop. It was a 28.5 earlier on. He did get banged up on Saturday. He did have a hip injury, so I kind of knew this might be a possibility that maybe Marvin Mims would not play in this game. And based on the fact that his market's no longer posted, I do think there's a pretty good chance that that did want to happen. Let me just do a quick search on Twitter to see if there's any news on Marvin Mims as of this morning. But again, injured, looked like potentially in the practice on Saturday, which led to his being limited. He was labeled as questionable. Let's say Marvin Mims does get reposted. His number was 28.5 earlier on. I think that'd be a great number to get him at because, again, the reason that I was there was the snaps have been down. The role was not that great. Even when he was playing every snap with Bo Nix in the preseason, he wasn't earning targets. In the 3 games this year, Mims had 4, 24, and 12 receiving yards. So this is also a game where I think they can potentially be pretty run heavy. That all to me says we're looking at unders on Marvin Mims. So if Mims does get reposted by the time you listen to this, I think under 28.5 is a solid look for sure. I think it was minus 114 earlier on. So check in on that. Check on Marvin Mims, see if you can get there. But either way, would be looking at that one as a potential way to exploit the Troy Franklin role expansion and thus the Marvin Mims role reduction. Mentioned before, there were some touchdown props that I liked in this game. Let's run through those really quickly. They're, again, longer shots, and long shots are long shots for a reason. These are not guys who earn a lot of work, and they're also on the Bengals. I'm not expecting a lot of scoring from them overall. But the 2 guys I like, and like is a very important word there, not love. I like Andre Iosivas at 9-1 and Taj Brooks at 16-1. Iosivas, 9-1 to score in this game. He has been out there plenty still. And I feel like that role will stick for him because he's been like a solid real world NFL player. So I'm not expecting the snaps to go down for Iosivas. And he's proven he can get some work near the end zone. He does not get work down the field. So yardage props for Iosivas off the table for me. I have what I think is a pretty modest projection in for Iosivas as far as his touchdown share. And I do still show quite a bit of value at 9-1. So I don't mind that one for Iosivas. Other one I liked, as mentioned, is Taj Brooks. He's 16-1. Samaje Perine is good to go for this game. Got banged up in week number 2. So we're not going to see Taj Brooks as like some emergent star or anything. Obviously, Chase Brown is still there. But the run game hasn't been great for the Bengals so far. And maybe at some point they have an incentive to give the younger guy at least a little bit of run. Taj Brooks didn't play an offensive snap the first 2 games. So maybe with Perine being healthy, they don't care to put him out there, but he doesn't play an offensive snap. Depending on the house rules, you may get a refund on that wager as well, because some places it's if he's active, other places, if he doesn't play a snap, you get your wager back. So 16-1 for Taj Brooks, given that there's potential for a void there. Again, if he doesn't play an offensive snap, check your house rules as always. I think that's an intriguing one for sure. So Taj Brooks 16-1, Andre Iosivas 9-1. I would not place a Taj Brooks bet at a bet that where if he is active, it's action. It must be a book where he must play an offensive snap for that bet to be action. So make sure you keep that in mind when placing your bets and always know the house rules. But Taj Brooks 16-1, Iosivas 9-1, in addition to looking out for Marvin Mims. He gets reposted 28.5. And then Troy Franklin touchdown plus 250 at FanDuel Sportsbook to go with the bets for the Jets and the Dolphins as well. That is all that we have here for today on covering the spread. Again, tomorrow we're going to go through all, not 16, would be 14 games on the week 5 slates, or actually some buys next week. 14 games on the week 5 slate. We'll go through those tomorrow, talk through my spreads and totals, and where I'm seeing value at FanDuel Sportsbook. To get that as it is posted, make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page and leave us a thumbs up there. If you got any questions for me, I'm on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes. I am on Threads at Jim.Sannes, and you can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work in the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your bets on Monday Night Football. Back once again tomorrow to break down week number 5. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.